Well, hello once again, and thank you for joining me on the Waters and Stanton video channel. My name is Peter Waters and my call sign is Golf 3 Oscar Juliet Victor. Every so often on this channel we publish articles covering antennas, and in particular occasionally antennas which are, I call historic antennas. Historic because they were first described quite a long while ago, and perhaps some of them are just fallen out of use, not because they don't work, because people have forgotten about them. But this is just one particular antenna that perhaps falls into that category. It was an antenna that was published in a magazine, I think it was December 1988. I'll put the date on the bottom of the screen here. So it goes back a long time. Published by Bill Orr, W6SAI. Now, Bill was quite a famous amateur. He published two very good books on antennas. One was called the Beam Antenna Handbook, which ran into quite a few editions, and it was really the sort of Bible covering the design of H.F. Yargis. And he also published a book on quad antennas, and again that ran to several issues. Well, this particular antenna is an antenna which I think will appeal to those that have got small gardens. It'll also appeal to those that have got noise problems, and who hasn't these days got noise problems? We're plagued, aren't we, with noise from all sorts of devices, and it's going to get worse, I think. So, the antenna is actually a form of loop antenna. Now, loop antennas have a reputation for being good low noise antennas. If you've got a noisy environment, then the loop antenna is probably one of the antennas you should consider installing, because it has a low noise performance on receive. Not always easy to put up a loop antenna, but I think this particular one might well be easier than some. And I'll put up on the screen now the basic design. You can see it's actually a delta loop. Now, a loop doesn't have to be a curved line. A loop can be square or it can be a triangle. And really and truly the performance between a square loop and what we call a delta loop is basically the same. And that in turn is very similar to a perfect circle. So you haven't got to worry about the fact that we call it a loop, but it's actually a square, or in this case a diamond. We call it a delta loop. A loop antenna, generally speaking, is a full wavelength, because that gives fairly low impedance wherever you feed it. And a delta loop is a full wavelength, so it means to say that each leg is a third of a wavelength long. Now, the advantage of a delta loop is it's much easier to install and support than it is the square loop, because basically all you need is you need to be able to support the top length, which is a horizontal length, and then just feed the bottom length, which forms a triangle. It hangs down as a triangle. Each leg, as I say, is a third of a wavelength, which means to say if we take 20 meters, which this particular antenna has as its fundamental, if we take 20 meters, that means to say that each side is going to be 22 foot. A full wavelength on 20 meters is give or take 66, 67 feet. If we take 66 feet and divide it by 3, we've got 22 foot. So 22 foot horizontal doesn't take up too much room. So even if you've got a small garden, a 20 foot length of wire down the garden should be manageable. It means to say that you've got to erect that 20 foot horizontal section high enough above the ground in order to get the diamond section. But if you can get the antenna up at around about 25 feet, or perhaps even a bit lower than that, you should easily get the diamond clear of the ground. Now, when we talk about heights of antennas always affect the performance of an antenna. And generally speaking, the higher the antenna, the better the performance. Well, in this particular case, I'm imagining that you've got a small garden and you can't have tall masts. All you're going to be able to do is to get that bottom of that diamond off the ground by 3 or 4 feet, and that's the best that you can actually do. Well, I think in that configuration it will work. What will happen, of course, is that you will get higher angle radiation than you would normally if the diamond was higher. But it's interesting, actually, that a number of articles that have covered delta loops have said that despite the fact that in theory you get higher radiation, it does seem to produce some reasonable DX, and I've heard that on the air as well. Stations that put up delta loops have got quite good DX performance, even though the antenna is not far above the ground. The bottom of the antenna is not that much above the ground, 6 or 7 feet. So it is certainly an antenna which you could, in theory, put into quite a small garden. Is there any gain? Well, there is a slight gain. There's a gain of about 1 dB over a dipole. It's not dramatic. It's not going to be earth-shattering, but at least you know that you've got a little bit of gain there. And the directivity is rather like a dipole on the 20 metre band. I know that on its fundamental, the directivity is rather like a dipole. It's broadside to the loop. So it seems to be an interesting antenna to take a look at. Now, I'll put up on the screen the design of the antenna that appeared in this magazine. And there's 2 ways of feeding it. You can feed it at the bottom of the triangle with a 4:1 balun. The reason you need a 4:1 balun because the actual feed impedance at the bottom of that diamond is going to be around about 125 ohms, give or take, about that sort of impedance. And if you put a 4:1 balun there, you're going to get a much lower impedance, a lower impedance that is closer to 50 ohms than it would be if the balun wasn't there. So it will improve the match. If you were going to operate that antenna just on that band, then what you could do is you could put a quarter wave section of 75 ohm coax in there and then join it via a 1:1 balun with 50 ohm coax. But we're not going to bother with that because we don't want to be locked into one band. The article about this antenna does make the point that it can be a multiband antenna. So let's take a look at the multiband options, how it works. A full wavelength loop has the ability to work on harmonics. Now, if we take 20 meters as the fundamental, the next harmonic is the 10 meter band. So immediately we've got a loop that will work on 2 bands. Now, the actual radiation pattern of the antenna when it starts working its harmonics, rather like a dipole, breaks up and you'll have several lobes and several null points, but that's one of the things that you just have to accept. It doesn't mean to say it's not going to work, but it may have nulls or it may have lobes that work in particular directions for you and give it a little bit of gain. But you've still only got 2 bands. So if we put a quarter wave section in there, it means to say that we can now actually feed that antenna and make it operate on the 40 meter band. In other words, it's now got a fundamental frequency of 40 meters or 7 megahertz. That means to say that if we take the harmonic ability of the loop to operate on harmonics, we now use 7 megahertz as the fundamental. It will also work on 20 meters because we just feed it with balanced line. The third harmonic will be at 21 megahertz and the fourth harmonic will be 28 megahertz, or the second harmonic of the fundamental. Either way, it's going to work on 10 meters. So we've got an antenna that works on 40, 20, 15 and 10 meters, which is rather nice. Now, at the end of that 450 ohm ladder line, we attach a 4:1 balun. That will then present a reasonable good match to 50 ohm coax. We take the coax back to the shack and it can be any length of 50 ohm coax. You won't get a 1:1 with it, but you will get the ability to match it using the internal antenna unit. You'll probably get a VSW on some bands of 1.5, 1.6, maybe shuddering up to 2:1 on some bands, but it's neither here nor there. The loss on those frequencies with the sort of length of coax you're going to use, say 40, 50 foot, is not going to be more than 1 dB. You'll get a dB loss anyway on the coax. All coax has got a loss, doesn't matter what you connect it to. So in addition to that, the VSWR will probably give you a 1 dB loss, which is not a problem really. Interestingly enough, this antenna was actually published in, as I say, I think I said earlier in the video, December 88, and that was when the 80 megahertz band was released. Now, William Orr actually published this antenna as a multiband antenna that would incorporate or would include the 80 megahertz band. How does that happen? Well, even though it's not resonant on the 80 megahertz band, you will be able to feed it with RF, and probably the internal ATU will match it. Likewise on the 24 megahertz band. But if you do away with that 4:1 balun and run 450 ohm ladder line all the way back to the shack, then it will certainly work on the walk bands as well, and the loss will be minimal. So you'll have an antenna which covers 6 bands: 40 meters, 20 meters, 17 meters, 15 meters, 12 meters and 10 meters. Not a bad deal. If you decide to feed it with coax cable via a 4:1 balun at the end of that matching section, it should still work okay. And I think if I was going to put one up, I'd try that first of all and see how I got on with it. The good thing about this is that it's a multiband antenna. It's an antenna that is going to reduce your noise level. It's going to be the quietest antenna you're likely to install in your garden, which is good news. And it's not going to take up too much room. And it doesn't have to be erected that high. And also, it's not a difficult antenna to install. So, it's an antenna which I think merits some consideration. As I said, it doesn't take up much room. Reports are from users that it gives pretty good DX performance, better than you'd expect, and it's multi-band and it's quiet. So there we are. With spring coming, it's the chance to get out in the garden and give it a try. I think this antenna does merit a go, because it's quite attractive and it's got some nice features. So there we are. In the meantime, thank you for your support on this channel. Don't forget to press the subscribe button. That gives us an indication how well we're doing. Don't forget to check our website, the Waters and Stanton website, or Ham Radio Store. If you put Ham Radio Store without any gaps between the words, you'll see a store come up. And we've got lots and lots of goodies there. A whole range of accessories, lots and lots of accessories. And I've said before, I go onto the website and sometimes I think, gosh, I didn't even know we sold that. So it's worth a trawl around our website to see what we've got. And we do try and get the goods out very quickly to you. We try and get them out the same day. Provided you get your order in by about 1:30, say 2 o'clock, we should get them out the same day. And we try and do a 24-hour delivery. We can't do that on accessories, but we certainly do it on the larger lamps. Don't forget also, by the way, that if you want to do a part exchange, we do a great part exchange deal. We've got a great part exchange service. It's very rapid. I've described it before, but you can actually get your replacement item. We can do a second-hand deal over the phone. You can get the item that you want the following day, and we will pick up your second-hand item. And give us a ring if you're not sure how that's going to work, or you want a price on the gear that you want to get rid of. We're more than happy to give you a quote, and sometimes they're quite interesting quotes. There we are. In the meantime, thanks for your support on this channel. You take care, and as usual, look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.